The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Greetings, my fellow Earthlings, Americans, friends, neighbors, people of all backgrounds. Thank you for joining me. I'm John Lebang. Here on this episode 396 of the show. We're closing in on that 400th episode. Do you hear that? Oh, right. That's those protesters in Portland. You can hear them all over the country if you listen really closely. And they're growing in numbers. Here, let's listen very closely because they've got something to say. That's a very important message, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, hold on. I think they're saying something else. Hold on. Let's hear this. Very interesting, huh? I mean, I thought this was about George Floyd and police brutality, but now it's like they're coming for your homes, folks. I guess it's reparations for something that you did somewhere in the past, because you're an evil person, ladies and gentlemen. And where's the police department and all this? They're gone, aren't they? The police aren't doing anything. That means the cities aren't doing anything to protect. That means the counties aren't doing anything to protect you from these people walking through your neighborhood, shining lights on your houses, so this could happen to you. This is coming to a neighborhood near you, ladies and gentlemen, because this group here, people who are, you see, the narrative has changed over time. It was about George Floyd and police brutality and black versus white, but it's not that anymore. They're coming for your homes. Give us your homes. Stolen land. I don't know. I've talked to all my neighbors. I've asked them, hey man, did you steal your land? Because that's not right. You're going to have to give it to these people if you stole it. In my neighborhood, no, I got a mortgage. And I'm paying for this, and I'm paying so much extra in interest every single month to pay for this house. So none of my neighbors are admitting they stole land, and I know I didn't. So I don't know. So any of you, I'm begging you, I'm pleading with you, if you stole these people's land, please give it up to these people. They're mad about it, and I'd be mad too if my land was stolen. Of course, if I had an interview with one, if I was able to talk with one, I would go, what land? Please point out which property that you bought, you owned, and then it was taken away from you. Please tell me. Did you? And then did you? Hopefully, if they bought it from you, you don't think that's stolen, right? So, listen. You hear them again. Here you go. I mean, they're just all over the place.
Wake up! 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 Wake up!
America. The government didn't steal any land, did it? And if you did, why aren't you in front of a government building? You're out there protesting neighbors and people in the suburbs and stuff, in little neighborhoods. For saying they stole your land? Do you have a deed for that? I just want to know. Do you have a deed for that so I can see that? I just want to know. See, I'm a landowner, or I'm a mortgage owner. Eventually, I will own land, hopefully, if I can ever pay this sucker off. But I had to go to a bank because somebody was selling a piece of property. They were selling it. That's all my neighbors. It was the same scenario. And I was like, okay, no, around here nobody stole land. Maybe that's why they're not protesting here yet. But they're saying they're coming everywhere. A lot of crazy stuff going on in America. And we got earthquakes in places they're not supposed to be earthquakes. It's almost like I mentioned before that we're in some sort of pregnancy, but it's more, it could be like a renovation. And maybe that's why we're seeing all this construction, is they're getting ready for what's coming. You know, maybe somebody's coming to town. The big boss might be coming to town, folks. You know how it is at work when the big boss is coming in, everybody's cleaning up, making things look nice. When the big boss shows up, maybe the big boss is coming. And right now we got people, you got to send what do they call it, demolition crews to do the dirty work, rip and tear and burn and trash everything. So then you can bring in the cleanup crews, and then the other crews after that, the ones that are going to build the new symbols of the future. Going to take out the old and bring in the new. And it's just, I know I'm a little rambly here, folks, but there we go. We're stuck in this malaise that I know you didn't create, and I didn't create, and none of my neighbors have created. It was all put into place, all unleashed, as if it was some giant ritual taking place. And the steps that are bringing us to the conclusion of some kind of ritual. But the country's falling apart right before our eyes. In other sectors, it's being built back up. You should see the road construction all of a sudden we have this year. Tons of road construction. Like I said, it's making it look pretty. Maybe the big boss man is coming. Maybe the big boss man is coming. We don't know. We don't know what's coming from this point on, ladies and gentlemen. And I thought about it. And I was like, the Republicans aren't going to lead us out of this. The Democrats aren't going to. They're all leading us towards something. We just had the Democrat National Committee have nominate Joe Biden like we didn't know that. Now it's official. Now it's official. Creepy Joe Biden is the Democrat presidential candidate. It's just, that's the best you had, Dems, huh? That's the best you can offer a country that needs to heal. It's Creepy Joe. Right in the middle of a giant Petigate, I was going to call it Petigate. Maybe that's what we'll call it. Epstein Gate. A giant pedophile ring being exposed. You put Creepy Joe. I mean, it makes sense. He's the guy that probably has the means to protect people if he's elected, and to make these things go away. If you have the president, I mean, that's not true. We've seen Donald Trump in office, and hardly anything can get done from his electorate's point of view. Why they put him in office? You know, it's a hard time doing a show like this, when I don't want to talk about the specific news. What's happening in Portland, in Seattle, and elsewhere. is not being covered with any objectivity by the mainstream malpractice media. The politicians have done their best to make the police response inept so that everything that is burning continues to burn. Our elected officials, as I said in the last show, aren't looking out for us on the bottom rings of society here, the middle rings of society. They unleash the bottom rings to keep us off balance, to keep us worried about things while they're doing their agenda. And it's coming, folks. You know, we talked about the Democrat National Committee. You should really check my video out. In about 3 days, it'll be out. I'm going to do a little talk on that. Not what was said there, but the symbolism of their logo. It's very interesting. Very interesting logo if you look at it with a discerning eye. But since we can't do video here on the radio show, or most people who are listening in can't see the visuals, you'll have to go to my YouTube channel in a couple days, and I'm going to do something to point something out to you that will confirm a lot of the things we've been discussing here. So we don't have a real choice this election. You've got the dirty Dems, and then you got Trump. And it looks like even his own underlings are abandoning ship on him. And you could expect that from a linguini-spined Republican. They get out before it really gets treacherous, because the Republicans are a worthless party. Everybody who hates the Republicans, at very best, they're inept. They're not worth even anybody's time, and they're nowhere near as destructive as the other party. And that's a little symbolism I'm talking about. It's pretty much being displayed in full glory right there in front of us. When we come back, we'll talk solutions, even though in my deepest heart of hearts knows that the American people won't choose the real road to solution. They're going to choose the lesser of two evils from their point of view. And that's going to leave us with no choice at all. So anyways, stay tuned, folks. We've got more right here on the John Lebang Show. We'll be right back.
Hey, Uncle Shady, where are they going? Hey, you, get back here. The John Lebang Show will be right back. Are you in need of commercial or residential window cleaning? Do you need your office cleaned? Maybe custodial work? How about some gutter cleaning? If you do, then call Pane in the Glass. For a beautiful shine that's crystal clear, call Pane and the Glass. You can find them on Facebook at Pane and the Glass. You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's better than an Ibrator convention.
It's interesting to note that there's really no third voice in this presidential election. Usually there's some kind of third-party candidate, multiple third-party candidates. But for whatever reason, it's been pretty much silent. The malpractice media would talk to these third-party candidates here and there, but we've heard nothing at all. We know why. They're all for a creepy Joe. And the Republicans are going to offer us Trump because Trump's the incumbent. And they didn't have the guts. They wouldn't have had the guts to try to replace him. Because they have no spine, ladies and gentlemen. And the Democrats, this wonderful party, right? This party for all the downtrodden people of the world, right? Because that's what it is. They're not for the downtrodden people of America. These people who lead the Democrat Party, the best thing they could offer you is a doddering old man who's a perv. They give you a vice president that is as unlikable as Sarah Palin was for John McCain. In fact, the Democrat Party has offered their version of the McCain-Palin ticket this time around. An automatic loser. There's no way that the American people, if the vote goes as it unhitched, no quirks at all, which they've already prepped us for, they keep pushing, dropping some little hints that, oh, the election is going to be tainted. It's going to take weeks. We don't know this. We don't know that. In one case, you got mail-in voting. In another case, we're seeing, I think in New Jersey, that they have to do a re-election because of the mail-in voting. Malpractice Media didn't talk about that. They talked about the Philadelphia version of that, where Trump's team was thrown out for the mail-in voting, trying to block it. In New Jersey, we just saw that the mail-in voting is now, the whole election was thrown out by a judge because there was too much fraud involved. And it's happening all of a sudden during the most important election in our lifespan, in our lifetime. They're just throwing this out there now. We couldn't have 2 or 3 or 4 smaller elections to see how it worked first. Start locally and grow from there if it worked and worked. Couldn't do that. It's because they want the election to be tainted. Donald Trump wins. There's going to be riots in the streets because they've been telling you, according to the polls, that Joe Biden is in the lead, folks. See, you can hear them. They're back again. Those Portland protesters are going to be everywhere. And just remember, folks, the BLM, Antifa are all supported by the Democrat Party. Goodyear supports them. Democrat National Committee even had Elizabeth Warren talking there, and right behind her, you saw letters BLM. That was so cute. It was so cute. She supports, Pocahontas herself supports them. As if we didn't know that. So much symbolism at the Democrat National Committee party there that I couldn't watch too much of. I would try, and I would have to turn it off. So our choice is, we have the Democrats who are supporting all these communist actions taking place. The people, hear them? They support these rioters. Peaceful protesting, telling people that they're gonna stolen land, that they have stolen land, even though I can bet you they're either renting or they're paying some bank to live there until they have enough money to where their mortgage is paid off and they can finally get that deed. To steal something is very much like the looters were doing. They go into a building or they go into an area and take what they want. When you go to a bank and you get a loan, that's not taking. That's actually putting yourself in a little bit of slavery. To one day, hopefully, get out of that slavery and have something to show for it 15, 30 years later. The people, these people here that are saying this, you hear them? Intelligent people. Oh, so intelligent. Yeah. These people say you stole your land. You better get ready, folks. Better get ready. You wait any longer to get yourself some protective measures in place for when they come to your neighborhood? Because they said they're coming. They said they're coming. And no politicians are protecting you. The police aren't there to protect you. One night you could hear this marching through your neighborhood as they're flashing lights on your house. Wake up. Wake up, MFer. Wake up. Peaceful protests, huh? Unlike the zero coverage that we saw in, I forgot what state it was. Roy Potter was at the event, and I watched, and here you had people who loved America, who probably had mortgages, bought homes through the bank, had mortgages, were paying that off, didn't steal any land whatsoever. All they were doing is going out there and protesting the mask mandate, because that's the best they got. Rah, rah, rah. And it was far more peaceful, and they weren't asking to rob any or steal any property from people that they supposedly said they saw. No, they were just doing a nice peaceful march and demonstration about masks, not wearing them. That's what we get from the right because they're so linguini spined. That's why they vote Republican. They talk real good game, but it's just not gonna do anything. They're not that angry. They just don't want to wear a mask. They want to go about their lives uninterrupted. Well, our lives have been interrupted, and they're never going to go back to what we had before with this current crop of people who are directing the country. It's never going to go back as long as you continue to have Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Gretchen Whitmer in office. Donald Trump. It's never going to go back to normal. As long as you elect the Democrats or the Republicans, it's always going to get further on into this. Are you going to wake up? They're telling you. You better wake up. You better wake up, ladies and gentlemen. Because when the show's up on your doorstep, what are you going to do? Police aren't coming. They're not going to be there to protect you if these people decide that your home is their next target. You have some cool stuff and you must have robbed them somewhere. Because this stuff isn't dying down, is it, folks? The George Floyd incident, which was months ago in Minnesota, has triggered something in Portland and in Seattle and uprisings across the country. And it's supported by one of the main parties. And we're seeing the police do nothing. I must reiterate that. They're being told to stand down. They're not doing their job. So at this point, what is the point? We might as well disband the police. No offense to the cops out there. But you aren't doing your job. Either your hands are tied or whatever. But you're not doing your job. These protests, which aren't protests, when they're marching through the streets, waking people up and demanding they give up their house, those aren't protests anymore. Those are threats. That is a threat. And that is not protected in the Constitution. So obviously, one party whose Democrat National Committee symbol tells a hell of a lot at where they're heading this country and how close it actually is. While all this is happening, ladies and gentlemen, I think the Republicans, who have no spine for anything, are going to protect you from this? So what happens when this shows up in your neighborhood? What are you going to do? Are you ready for this? Because if you weren't ready for the other stuff, you're probably not going to be ready for this when this shows up. And you're going to be defenseless again. And BB guns. And other small items to protect you, like baseball bats and all that. That's not going to stop mobs of people rampaging through your home. And the police aren't there to protect you. Again. Who's there? Who is there to protect you right now? Whose responsibility now is it to protect you? Well, it's on you. You've subjugated, you've given that responsibility away, but now the people you've given it away to, they can't be counted on. They've given up on you. Oh. Harsh words to say, but it's true. They've given up on you, folks. They've decided they're going the other way. And as you can see, the other way is only causing destruction in this country. Now, how do you handle that is going to be on your situation. And I'd be talking to some of your neighbors right now. Better be making some allies and even maybe some neighborhood plans on how to protect yourselves against this. Because one day, believe it or not, remember, I told you, didn't you at one time said this could never happen in this country? Well, right now, everything that could possibly happen is happening in this country. I wouldn't be surprised if some major event came along to just shake things up even more. We'll be right back, folks. Stay tuned.
Don't move a muscle.
The John Lebang Show will be right back.
With lots of fun and excitement. Yes!
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is your one-stop shop for tuxedos and men's quality suits. We go the extra mile to make sure your tux or suit is the perfect fit. Our huge selection is second to none in the state.
Looking good.
Outstanding customer service.
And we're located on Dix Toledo in Southgate. Call today, 734-285-3253.
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is the place to be.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to Jim's Tuxedos and Menswear.
You know I had to come to the best.
That's right.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
Now, longtime listeners might remember me discussing how we're going to get this slow burn, or it feels like a slow burn. And this was back, I think we talked about this maybe in March, how they were going to drag this out. And we discussed that last week, how they said it was going to be a 2-week lockdown. It's now turned into 6 months, going on 7. And it continues. Well, the slow burn has turned into major shortages across many spectrums of consumer goods. You go to the grocery store, the meats are still not packed to the gill. There are a lot of emptiness in the chemicals or cleaning chemical department, the sanitizer area. It's almost as if they've turned off the spigot or turned it down to give us just enough for us to barely survive. They don't want us buying up stuff for long term. We're seeing a major shortage in ammunition. Now, lots of people bought the stuff, and we're starting to realize that the people in these protest groups have weapons too. They're not against their Second Amendment rights whatsoever. In fact, they've probably purchased many of their weapons illegally because, from what I can tell, these people are habitual criminals. And they support habitual criminal activity. And they're angry now. And they've got the youth angry because the youth, unfortunately, is too inexperienced to see that they are being manipulated when they have a catchphrase that they think the catchphrase is actually what it means. Yet you go to communities they say they support, and you ask the community what has that 3-letter organization, because if you say it, you can get fired if you're talking against it. People have felt repercussions at their workplace because of their First Amendment rights by speaking against certain organizations. This 3-letter organization has done absolutely nothing to help communities they they support, supposedly. They want to help. They haven't donated a whole lot of that money that's been donated to them to rebuild communities. A major portion of that money has gone into things like the Democrat Party, the Joe Biden campaign. Not making this stuff up, folks. All you have to do is a little research. Go to the one site. I'm not going to say it right now because for the time being, I need to hold on to my regular job. And if you get yourself caught, and it just happened, where they fired somebody for making a Facebook post. So you got to watch what you say a little bit right now. You don't want to get banned from all the platforms out there either for saying the wrong 3 initials in a negative connotation. Even though these are the... Here, they're back. Here, they're back. They went to the past neighborhood, now they came back around. Listen. Even though they're saying this, ladies and gentlemen, they're threatening their neighbors. Just people who are just trying to get by in life, who have gone about it and either rent some land or have purchased some land and have a mortgage. To these people, it was stolen. Obviously, they're not intelligent enough to know what the word steal is. They confuse it because when they go into buildings and they loot them, they don't think that's stealing. That wasn't their property, but they went and took it. It's very typical of bukaka, as they would say, that comes out of every party. They tell you one thing, and it's the exact opposite. See, the party that does that and has made that so much a part of their platform is the Democrats. But the Republicans do it too. And these little groups have just picked up on that. Don't just make up some slogan that sounds good, but it means the exact opposite of what we want. It's perfect. that way you confuse the little 20 and 25-year-olds into thinking it's something it's not. And then you scare corporations into supporting you. Otherwise, you might rip down and bust up one of their locations. See, it's all an elaborate plan. I mean, it's just beautifully executed. And when you have elected officials that are doing absolutely nothing to quell it, in fact, they're encouraging it, well, then you have a recipe for what we have in this country. It's on fire, burning. I mean, it's almost symbolic of what's to come. They're bringing the devil, folks. Maybe not literally, but what's coming isn't going to be peaceful and uplifting and helpful to the world. It's not. Whatever's coming in the next 3-4 months is going to be very tragic and devastating. And within the course of a normal pregnancy, 9, 10, 12 months, maybe a little longer, might be a long pregnancy for the species of what's being born. The species of government that's being born. You know, you have to make fun of it a little bit because it's heavy. It's absolutely heavy. And most people weren't prepared for this. They're overloaded with information. Remember, months ago, they talked about, we're going to switch subjects here real quick. They talked about how kids don't have the means of transmitting the virus. Very low chances of that. Well, just in the last few weeks, what have you heard? You've heard the opposite, right? School's coming. School's on its way, and, well, some people want you to shut it down. And if they can't do it through legislative and executive means, they do have the unions to say, we're not going to go back to work. We don't want to go back to work. You have to have certain precautions for us to go back to work because we're scared. We're so scared to go back to work. I mean, maybe the teachers should all be put in diapers and let the children teach them. They can play with the kiddies and let some adults take over. If you're too scared to go to work, that's fine. Let some people who want to go to work, go to work. And at this point, the boogie woogie virus is nothing more than us. We're the virus. We have to wear the masks, right? Who told you that? Somebody told you that back in March. We were the virus. It wasn't some little boogie woogie thing that got in through your respiratory system and made a whole bunch of people sick. There may have been one of those, and it's still doing its little thing. But you are the virus, ladies and gentlemen. You are what's wrong. And to reduce your carbon emission, now you have to breathe in your carbon emissions right back because you're wearing a mask. Not to say that, because we've covered it, you can live working hours in those masks. But there's no reason for them. In that peaceful protest in, I think it was Utah now that I'm thinking about it. It was in Utah where Rory Potter was. He's a guy I watch on YouTube. He's all right. You know, I don't agree with everything. Can you agree with everything that everybody says? Probably not. I'm sure many times I've said something here that you don't agree with. That's fine. Speaking of that, and some of our youth, I have a lot of contact with people in their 20s. And there was a little bit of a conversation that came up, and of course I'm switching gears here. We only have about 2.5 minutes left in this segment, so let me switch gears. Then we'll get into something else in the fourth segment, if you don't mind. It's my show. Let me indulge, please. So we got on the subject of free speech and what other groups of people actually say in private. And I pointed, they were to the point, you can't say those kind of things. And I'm like, free speech, the First Amendment, does not protect nice speech. It doesn't protect, hi, I really like you. You're so sweet. It doesn't protect that at all. It protects this type of thing to an extent. It protects nasty language, but only to a point. Nasty language that doesn't incite violence, unlike what we're hearing here. You see, the First Amendment does not protect that type of free speech. You can't yell fire in a crowded building because you're endangering people. You can't threaten people to get the heck out of their homes because you believe they stole your property, although I can guarantee you never had a deed for that land, and if you did, you probably sold it or you couldn't make the payments and fell behind and lost the house. That happens to a lot of us, and it makes a lot of us mad. So don't think you're the only group that has been screwed. But we know that that is not what all this is about. These people in Portland, in Seattle, and other places around the country are just the militant arm of a political movement that is trying to destroy the country and bring in the next world order, and we're only a few months away from that if we don't do something about it. And voting for the Republican Party isn't going to change the course. Voting for Donald Trump isn't going to change this course. Voting for Joe Biden is only going to speed the course, because we're on the course to this new next world order. With that being said, folks, I think we're going to take our third time out. More on the flip side, we're going to give you a little... I've been kind of putting this off because I've been toying with this idea in my head for a couple days now, actually probably a couple weeks. And, well, I think I'm going to finally bring it up. So we'll be right back, folks. Stay tuned.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Because the John Lebang Show will be right back.
After this. That's guaranteed. Yes. Absolute Skin and Body Care, located in Livonia, Michigan. If you're in need of laser hair removal, skin care, laser tattoo removal, or laser hair regrowth, call Absolute Skin and Body Care. They're located at 37625 Ann Arbor Road, Suite 105 in Livonia, Michigan. Their phone number is 248-533-0448. Absolute Skin and Body Care. Give them a call. You're listening to the John Lebang Show. It's huge. Now I got to tweet about it. All right, welcome back, folks, as we enter the fourth and final segment of this hour of the John Lebang Show. Thank you for hanging in there. Now we're going to get into something I've been contemplating for, some time now. And in more recent days, it's really been pushing me. Before I get to that, I just want to tell you, I'm the kind of guy that wants a no-drama life. I keep things on the low end in the drama department. And I know that what I'm about to do here is going to cause some drama coming up to me, because I'll be putting myself out there. But I can't take it anymore. I honestly can't take what I'm seeing out of not only
the political class, but the people, the citizenry of this country. And we have to do something drastic to make real, positive, hopeful change. How do you like that, folks? 2 words I don't like using: hope and change. But we're not on a course with these 2 political parties to do anything but destroy this country. Now, if it's going to be destroyed, it's not going to be destroyed by people like me. That's for sure. All right, so here goes. Beginning right now, we are starting the Banger 2020 presidential campaign. Yep, I did it in 2016, folks. And if you remember, it was a none of the above campaign. Well, I think we need to do more than ever a none of the above campaign. So this year's campaign, and I'm loosely, there's no script here, folks. I'm just giving you my thoughts. We'll be putting together a more appropriate setup for this with more details in the coming weeks, of course. And I have no hopes of making president, and I really don't want the job. But I feel like I'm the only one that's willing to go up there and do something in the positive at this point to protect the little American people, the ones who pay all the bills, who have all the bills, and whose lives are being completely disrupted by the current environment that the political ruling class has unleashed on us. And again, the vote is for none of the above. I'd rather not be president. I don't want the hassle. For what we've seen has gone on the past 4 years on how the media, the political ruling class have all attacked Donald Trump. He has protections. I sure as heck don't. I have no campaign budget, nothing. And I don't expect to win, as I said before. But somebody's got to do something, folks. Somebody's got to step up. And I don't see any men doing it. There's a few women stepping up, but where are the men standing up for freedom? And that's my campaign from the very beginning. It's a freedom campaign. There's no agenda, right or left, anywhere, based on the Constitution, which limits the government and tells each individual they must self-govern. For this all to be successful, and that's why this country has fallen apart, because politicians can't self-govern, and a vast majority of the people do not know how to self-govern. So the campaign, Banger 2020, a clear vision, vote none of the above. That's what we're going with. And if for some strange reason that I get elected, which I don't, again, I don't even think I'm going to get 2 votes. Because I don't think the people really want freedom as described maybe in the next coming weeks with my campaign slogans and my explanations of how I would run the country. And in particular, one of the main things I think I would go for is readjusting the whole tax thing, because I'm not for taxes. Only constitutional style taxes. But the income tax would be gone if I had the power to make that happen. But I don't think I would be able to ever get rid of the income tax. So as a compromise, I thought we could take the power out of the political hands, out of Congress, because they have shown, doesn't matter which party is running it, they have shown that they can't control their spending whatsoever. And in this year alone, when we're outspending any other year in the history of this country by record numbers, we've already broken the record for most spending, and we still have months to go. So it's obvious the people in charge of the legislature, the House of Representatives, and the Senate, they do not know how to control their spending. So one of my platform pieces will be to get the power out of their hands for that, and we'll have a more direct way of spending our money. And I think, without getting into great detail, I'll tell you about this. The tax plan would be a little different than you're used to. In fact, a lot different. Whatever percentage we decide is right to give out, to force the American people to give up towards taxes, I would make any taxes like that voluntary or just abolish them. But I know there are way too many people that would fight against it, so here's the compromise. We allow the American people, instead of turning in their taxes on April 15th every year, like we do, and we have to, hopefully get some kind of refund from the government, we get a booklet that we have to turn in. We can pick a day. April 15th is fine with me, or whatever. I don't care. See, I'm flexible. But we pick a date that this booklet has to be turned in, and you decide what programs you want to donate out of your taxes, and we'll let the chips fall where they may. If you want to donate to, let's say, Obamacare, so you, as a participant in donating towards Obamacare, could use some of the benefits of it. If you don't want to donate to the Obamacare program, you don't have to, then you can keep your money for something else. You can't use that program then. That's how it works. You don't pay in, you don't use it. Pretty simple. The more money that goes into a program will tell us as the American people what is working, what is more beneficial to us, and so on and so forth. If you don't want to donate to, I don't know, whatever program there is, I don't want to name this and that, you wouldn't have to. And if you want to put all your taxes towards, let's say, the funding of the military, you can do that as well. And we as a people then can feel a sense of ownership in the programs, in the agencies that we put our money into. It's fair. It's up to the people then. And if it doesn't promote freedom, then what does? Right now, we're currently forced into giving them a bunch of money, and they distribute it how they please. And it's not working that way. So, I suggest we make a constitutional amendment removing Congress from allocating the money. They can, and I'm all for this, it'll be Congress's job to make these programs available. Give you plans for these programs and say, hey, you should put your tax money towards this, because we think it's a good idea. And if it works out as they say it does, the money will trickle in and come in and build that program into something great. And if it's a failure of a program, then the money will stop trickling in because people will realize it's a failure and we won't be stuck with it forever because politicians had forced it on us. And I wish I could talk more about all the different details of that, but that's the basics. You get a booklet, you do your research, you put in the money you want, you donate the money you want voluntarily, taxes, into these programs that the Congress and the Senate agree on making available to us. We're not forced into doing any of them. We're not forced into paying any of them. I think that's a terrific way to balance the budget of every agency so we don't have issues with the post office. If the post office can't survive because it can't provide service with the money it's given, then it dies. The heck with it. That's how everything should be. I mean, the government just decided which businesses live or die. Why can't the people who pay into this decide which agencies, which programs live or die? And they can do that with directly allocating the money in your tax form or whatever they want to call it. I'm giving you the idea, folks. This is my idea for the 2020 Banger campaign here. And it's only one of many ideas that I have. Now, again, I don't expect anybody to vote for me, put any credence in what I'm saying. I don't expect to get anywhere, and I don't really want the job of the president because that is the biggest pain in the ass. They would come after me, and I don't have the protection of millions and millions of dollars to fight them off, like let's say the Trumpster does. And there's going to be no political party, and that'll be something I also work towards. If I were to be president, if somehow I was elected president, we would abolish another constitutional amendment. We would abolish political parties and 501c3s and all those things. Don't abolish 501c3s? Well, if we're not paying taxes, we won't have to worry about tax-free organizations now, would we? You see what I'm saying, folks? If taxes were just voluntary, we wouldn't have to worry about tax-free organizations. Interesting concept. We'll get more into that in the future because I'm out of time. And I'm going to build this platform that I know nobody's going to vote for. Nobody's going to get behind. I'm going to get very little support. I don't want your money either. Don't want your money. You're going to need it, all right? You're going to need your money. And you better find a way to save your money because they're trying to destroy that too, as well as everything else, folks. So until I reach your ears again, folks, my vocal cords are going to be signing off for now. I'm John Lebang. Thank you for tuning in. Check out what we got going on at our website, www.jlebang.com. And if you want to donate, that's fine. We'll take donations, but we're not asking for them because I think you're going to need it yourself. Signing off from the Banger Studios.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Tune in again next week. Same time, same space, same station.
Resistance